call this meeting of the Montgomery County Board of County Commissioners to order. Tonight is November the 10th. It is now 6:00 p.m. If you would, please bow your head for the invocation. Dear Father, we thank you for this beautiful new facility and the opportunities that it will provide for our students. Thank you for the vision that our county leaders had and for this vision becoming a reality. We pray, Father, that this facility, the students and the faculty and staff and everyone here will bring together our county into a united family. Guide us and keep us safe from the COVID-19. In thy name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll ask our county manager, Mr. Woodard, to lead us, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioners, you have your agenda and have had time, hopefully, to look it over. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I would also like to welcome tonight, before we begin, our architects from Morrisburg are here tonight, and this is a welcome sight to see them here to help us to celebrate the opening of our new school as far as for the commissioners. Okay, the first item that we have on tonight's agenda is a welcome by our superintendent, Dr. Dale Ellis. We're certainly pleased to be able to hold our commissioner meeting in this fine new facility. Dr. Ellis, I'm sure, will address the partnerships between the county, the Board of Education, and the community college trustees and how this facility came into being. But before I welcome Dr. Ellis, however, it is fitting that on this day of celebration for education in Montgomery County, that Governor Rory Cooper made a similar recognition in honor of one of the great supporters of education in our state, our very own Bob Jordan. We lost Mr. Jordan earlier this year, but his legacy, like this facility, will long endure. If I may, I'd like to read the Governor's proclamation. State of North Carolina, Rory Cooper, Governor, a day in recognition of Robert B. Jordan, 2020, by the Governor of the State of North Carolina, a proclamation. Whereas Robert B. Jordan was a dedicated public servant who served in the North Carolina Senate from 1976 until 1984, and eventually as the 29th Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina from 1985 until 1989. And whereas a native of Mount Gilead in Montgomery County, Mr. Jordan was a successful local business leader who spent years running his family's lumber company. And whereas he served on the North Carolina State Board of Education, the North Carolina State Board of Community Colleges, and the University of North Carolina Board of Governors. And whereas Robert Jordan was a lifelong champion for education, from preschool to graduate school, supporting programs that promoted excellence, accessibility, and equity. And whereas he received a number of distinguished awards throughout his incredible career, including the Watauga Award from North Carolina State University and an honorary doctorate from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And whereas Mr. Jordan has been posthumously selected as a 2020 Champion for Children by the North Carolina Foundation for Public School Children, and whereas the state of North Carolina honors the memory of Robert B. Jordan and upholds his decade-spanning legacy of outstanding public service to our state and to our residents. Now, therefore, I, Rory Cooper, Governor of the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim November 10th, 2020, as a day in recognition of Robert B. Jordan in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens. It's a very fine tribute for a very fine man, Mr. Bob Jordan. So, in similar company, I would like to introduce our superintendent and a champion of education himself, Dr. Dale Ellis.
Thank you, Chairman Robinson. I don't personally think that I'd put myself anywhere near in the same category as Mr. Jordan. My goodness, that was a very fitting tribute, so thank you. I would like to welcome everyone, the county commissioners, to Montgomery Central High School. We are sitting in a building that was once just a dream, a vision of what could be. I am happy to report to you tonight, as you can clearly see, we are nearing the end of what has been an epic process of cooperation, the likes of which are rarely seen. We began with the vision of transforming education and giving our students the skills they need for the jobs of tomorrow. With the completion of this facility, the jobs of tomorrow are being prepared for today. It was not an easy process, and I know that not everyone has always agreed with it. It is my hope and indeed my true belief that after some time has passed, the wisdom of what has been undertaken here will be fully realized. Bold leadership and vision is not something one often equates with small-town life in rural communities. Oftentimes, small rural places are left behind, particularly in the area of economic development, as employers seek out larger urban and suburban areas because the larger populations make it easier to find workers. To compete, we must differentiate ourselves from those urban centers and every other small community that we must compete with. It is here that I feel this Board of County Commissioners has stood apart. The investments made in education now will pay off years in the future. In fact, we are starting to see it now. I remember when I first arrived, there was talk in the North Carolina General Assembly about closing several smaller community colleges. Montgomery Community College was on that list. Today, it is one of the fastest growing community colleges in the North Carolina system. The partnerships we have formed have made all of this possible. Officials from Union County toured this facility last week. The one thing they said they could not replicate was the proximity to the community college. Based upon our research, this is the only such facility in the country, a countywide high school that is basically located on the local community college campus. The Union County officials stood in awe at what we have been able to do. All grade 9 to 12 students in Montgomery County will have access to what amounts to a district-wide early college. Our goal of 100 associate's degrees every year, both in college transfer and in the career and technical areas, is easily attainable over the next few years. In fact, we are already well on our way. We gave out 46, in conjunction with Montgomery Community College, 46 associate degrees last year. We will be producing the high-quality workforce that employers are looking for. The leadership and vision you had for this facility is already coming to fruition. I wish to thank this group for your support and the group of county commissioners in 2016, which took the boldest of steps to get this process started. I am from a small rural county in the North Carolina foothills. It always amazes me when I pick up a newspaper there. They talk about the same things we do, economic development and the need for better jobs. The one thing they have not done or even considered is making bold moves and heavy investments in education. They want different results, but they don't want to do anything differently to get them. You keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same results. I am so thankful this group has tried something different and looked beyond the way things have always been. Once again, the Montgomery County Board of Education and the administration of Montgomery County Schools is so thankful for what you have done for the children of our county. We will continue to work hard to help see your vision for economic development and job growth in our county to completion. There is one of you that the Board of Education felt deserves special recognition. One of you above all others made possible the facility in which we sit tonight. I'm going to pick on you for a moment, Mr. Jim Matheny. This process between the county, the schools, and the college was a classic example of give and take. Without compromise, it would have never been possible. I recall one meeting I was so mad that tears were streaming down my face, and I had to leave the meeting to collect myself. It was Jim Matheny that made me that mad. I know Mrs. Matheny is here tonight, and I'm sure she has had to deal with some of that over the years too. However, it was that passion that he sparked in all of us that ultimately got us here. Regardless of your thoughts on this project, it is what was best for the kids. I thank the good Lord for Jim Matheny and his push to make sure we got to this point. Mostly, I am thankful to call him my friend. Tonight, we stand in the auditorium of Montgomery Central High School. Collectively, along with the classrooms that line the hallway beside this auditorium, this wing makes up what we have been calling the Performing Arts Center. This wing of the facility will always be important because it will be a community hub for events for many years to come. The Board of Education wanted to make sure that everyone that comes into this facility knows the man behind making it happen. I am proud to say that the Board of Education has recently approved the naming of this portion of the facility, the Jim Matheny Center for the Performing Arts. Mr. Matheny, if you would join me down here, please. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much trouble we had to go through to get a picture. But I can tell you just a normal picture off a website just will not work. But this says to you that this will be placed right outside of the auditorium here. 50 years from now, when people talk about Matheny Auditorium, they're going to know what we're talking about. But the Jim Matheny Center for the Performing Arts, this facility is dedicated to Mr. Jim Matheny, Montgomery County Commissioner, December 2008 to November 2020. Your selfless service and faith in what Montgomery County could be made Montgomery Central High School a possibility for all students, for all generations to come. And there's a quote from Mary McLeod Bethune that says, "Faith is the first factor in a life devoted to service. Without it, nothing is possible. With it, nothing is impossible." Thanks to you, this wasn't impossible, and we thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
If you want to get there, let these ladies get some pictures of us. You want to let me get on the other side here. Yeah. And yes, those lights up there are as hot as they look. I'll wipe the sweat from my brow here as we. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice job, Jim.
Thank you.
And I'll close my comments by saying that I was contacted one time by another county who had heard what we had done and was interested in the USDA funding.
Congratulations.
And I recall specifically talking to that superintendent on the phone, and I told them the level of cooperation that it took from the county commissioners, from the school board, from the local community college. And I talked about the give and take, and I talked about the compromise, and I talked about how everybody's not going to get what everybody wants. That's not how the process works. And I'll never forget her response. We'll never be able to do this in our county. And I've never forgotten that. So to you, the county commissioners, I thank you. And the Montgomery County Board of Education thanks you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Congratulations, Jim, and thank you. You want to say a few words?
Well, I am completely taken aback by this. I had no expectation, and I really appreciate the kind words and the kindness of Dr. Ellis that he has attributed to me, but in reality, this project is the product of the hard work of many people, including Matthew Woodard, certainly the project could not have been done without Matthew's approach to the financing of it, and the great cooperation between the school system and Montgomery Community College, Dr. Ellis, Dr. Bledsoe, and their staffs and the boards. It was a very cooperative effort, and I think it's a beautiful school, something that Montgomery County can be very proud of. But most importantly, as Dale indicated, it's a place where hopefully every person in Montgomery County will have the opportunity to get the education they need to realize whatever dreams that they may have going forward. And it'll be an engine for economic development, attracting companies to come here because we will have a trained workforce. The Performing Arts Center, the only thing I can contribute to performing arts is my name, I guess, because I certainly can't perform. But I think it's great that we have this facility, and we can also provide kids the opportunity to participate in the performing arts. And very important, I think, to their future. So I thank all of you who have been involved. I look forward to seeing this place full of kids seeking an education that will put them in good stead for the rest of their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I was walking around a few minutes looking before we started tonight, and it's changed so much since I was down here last time. I thought, man, I wish I had a school like this to go to when I was in high school. Of course, West Montgomery was where I was, so. And if you haven't seen West Montgomery, you don't want to go see it now either. It's so different. Okay, next on the agenda, I have the pleasure of introducing the president of the North Carolina Southeast Economic Development Partnership, Mr. Steve Yost. The county is a member of this regional partnership, and Commissioner Matheny has served on their board for many years. As part of our educational and economic development initiatives, the county and the Board of Education several years back signed a contract to convert the old East and West high school sites into industrial development parks. Steve is here to discuss that initiative. Thanks to the Southeast, the county received grant funds to develop a conceptual park layout and marketing plan for the transformation of East Montgomery into a viable rail-served industrial park. That full plan is available in the Commissioner's agenda packet and available outline for the public. While Steve is speaking, excerpts from that study will be displayed behind Mr. Yost. Steve, it's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you, Chairman. It's good to be here tonight. As the Chairman said, I'm Steve Yost. I'm president of North Carolina Southeast. We're a regional economic development organization of 18 counties. And Montgomery became a member of our regional partnership back in 2013. Back then, by action of the North Carolina State Legislature, it's been a very good, strong partnership. And one of the reasons it has been, in terms of us working with Montgomery County, is because of Jim Matheny. He's been the one and only board member representative to North Carolina Southeast from Montgomery County, and he's done superb work in representing Montgomery County and integrating Montgomery County into our regional economic development program. And he's been an exemplary board member, provided very strong leadership to our board of directors. As Jim knows, we have a large board of directors with 18 counties, and there's a lot of public, county, and private sector people on that board of directors. Jim has been very engaged all the way through during those 7 years, and I think it's very fitting, very deserving for him to be given this designation and this recognition tonight. So Jim, we're very appreciative of what you've done, obviously for Montgomery County and this new school and economic development over here, but we're real appreciative of what you've done for to support economic development in southeastern North Carolina. So congratulations. And it's good to be here tonight. As part of our economic development efforts in the last year or so, we have been helping 3 of our counties, Montgomery, Anson, and Sampson County, with some master planning for new industrial sites and parks. And we've been engaged with a very large initiative with the U.S. Economic Development Administration with all of our counties. And there are 4 big components, but one of those components was to help some of our counties put together new industrial site and product. And when we bounced this idea off Matthew and Jim, they immediately suggested looking at doing a master plan for the transition of the former East Montgomery High School location into a viable industrial park and industrial site to help with job, business, and industry creation and attraction. And so what we're doing on that, and I'm going to go through this briefly here in just a minute or two, fits very much into the vision that you all have accomplished here with the construction of this new high school and the concept of linking it into the community college and having a technical school and program all working in conjunction with one another. Dr. Ellis mentioned the importance of workforce development to successful economic development in the future and right now, and he's exactly right. Workforce is everything to companies looking to locate facilities somewhere, or existing companies right here in the county to expand operations and to hire new employees. So it's a very competitive business on job recruitment, business recruitment. So I commend all of you all, the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Education, Dr. Ellis, and everyone for achieving this vision. And we're already using this as an example when we talk to companies of innovative education programming. So congratulations on what you've done here. So this master plan, we hired an engineering firm called Wood, which is based in Wilmington in Richmond, Virginia, to help us with this master plan. And I'll walk you through it for just a minute. And so the purpose of the master plan was to lay out a blueprint, so to speak, to transition or convert this site, this property, into a full-fledged industrial park that you could put business and industry and jobs into. The current facilities, former school facilities, are not conducive to industrial development. So we have to look at a brand new plan for how to do that. However, with a lot of the assets, such as infrastructure, utility, the railroad, and some other things, it could become a very good industrial site, viable industrial site and park for Montgomery County. Some of the reasons why it was good and viable to build a school there back in the 1960s can make it viable to put industries and businesses in there as well. So lots already there that's already been done over the decades that can support the conversion of this to an industrial park. So we had the engineering firm Wood to come in to meet with the stakeholders, which included the county, us, the North Carolina Partnership for Economic Development, the Aberdeen Carolina Western Railroad, and some others, just to get on the ground and start going through some of the discussion about what it would take to turn this into an industrial park. So the first step was to do some environmental analysis and reconnaissance of the site, and we'll see if we can get it back up here in just a second. And I'll just mention, as part of that environmental, some of that early type of reconnaissance and analysis of the entire property, which is 114 acres. So it's a pretty good size property there, but we looked at some aerial mapping, on-site field investigation, geotechnical or soils investigation, the topography, and a lot of data collection on the site itself, the zoning situation, other surrounding land uses, and the proximity of the Aberdeen Carolina Western Railroad, which, as you know, runs in front of that property parallel to Highway 220 alternate. And so a lot of things initially to look at to weigh into putting together the master plan. So they developed 5 concepts and trying to think of the types of businesses or industries and the strengths and assets that already have there of what we could potentially attract to this site if it became an industrial park. Sort of the first criteria above all else was to utilize the railroad because you have a very strong railroad, short line railroad here in the Aberdeen Carolina Western, and they're very engaged on this process, very engaged in trying to recruit business and industry along their rail lines. And so each of the concepts integrates the use of the railroad in some shape or form into the site. The good part about all of these concepts, about the overall property, is that you can use the vast majority of it, except for the very back. There's a wet weather stream that will fall under wetlands jurisdiction, but it's a small area in the very back of the land. So this is concept A here, the very first one, and what it shows is really, you can see how the rail comes up along Highway 220 here. You'd have to build a rail siding and then a spur to come in. This concept has the spur coming in sort of the backside, adjacent to the property where the middle school is, and being able to service rail on that side to businesses there, and then having a road network. What's hard to see, but you can see better in the packages if you have them, the size of the potential facilities that you could have on there, like 85 or 100,000 square feet if you had smaller types of businesses or industries located there. As you know, water and sewer is already located. You have a sewer pump station located on the site, and you've got good water and sewer capacity in that area, which is really good for economic development. On the infrastructure side, the only weakness is lack of natural gas, but that's just something that we have to deal with. So if you'll go to the next one, Matthew. So this is concept B. This is one of my more favorite ones, I think, because it brings in the rail sort of in the middle of the property, and it could literally service every type of business if you situated them correctly inside the park. And then you have a loop road that goes all the way around that would provide egress to the various businesses that you may have in there. And you'd have plenty of room to have rail siding to park the rail cars in there. And again, the Aberdeen Carolina Western gave a lot of input and recommendations for how to do this in terms of the rail. So you've got the correct radius and all of that coming in off the main rail line along Highway 220. Okay. This is concept C. It's a little bit different. This lays out hypothetical feed mill. And the railroad asked the engineering firm to lay this out. So a feed mill typically has they prefer to have like a loop rail spur around their facility. where they load up feed or, they grind it, store it, and all of that. A lot of room to move trucks around. And you just got to have really, really good accessibility with rail. That's their primary means of moving in the raw material to make the feed. And then the trucks going out to taking it to farms or wherever. And so we had to see if that's a possibility. It is. This concept shows that layout. And, one of the reasons, in our region, food manufacturing, food processing is a major industry sector. Employs tens of thousands of jobs. It's a growing sector. And we're seeing signs that COVID-19 may cause the sector to grow even more in this region. We're probably going to see more feed mill opportunities in southeastern North Carolina. And we don't have many sites to locate them, however, so we think this might be a potential site opportunity. Okay. This is concept D, or number 4. This lays out again the rail coming into the center of the property, and but in order to service larger types of businesses in there. One thing that you'll see on each concept, I should have mentioned, is the old East Montgomery High School auditorium is left there. We think that's the one building that could be converted into something else, maybe a corporate office, maybe a business incubator or something like that. So we recommend that stay and be incorporated into a new industrial park. Okay. I think this is the last concept, number 5, or concept D. This shows a single user. Let's say if you had a large distribution center, whether it needed rail or not, but what size facility could you get on there if it was just one facility? And this is almost 1 million square feet. A lot of distribution centers, big box type DCs can come very large. This one would be served by rail. That's what it's showing here. However, you could get 1 million square feet or a little bit more potentially on there if you didn't have the rail on that site. And so the point is, you got some flexibility, with these different concepts. And so, you don't have to lay it out one certain way. Once we start marketing it, you start the demolition and start actually converting it, developing it into an industrial park, and we're able to start getting some leads on it, then we can figure that part of it out. So it has great potential for an industrial site and park. We went ahead and gave it a name, the Montgomery County Industrial Park. If you want us to come up with something else, Matthew, Jim, and commissioners, we're happy to do that. If you want to have a naming contest or whatever you might want to do. We have had the question, it is adjacent to the middle school, the property is, but there's a lot of buffer with the property between that school and the one over, is it McCaskill Road, over through the woods. And so I don't think that's going to be an issue, and there's really not a whole lot of other surrounding residential, a little bit across the highway, I guess. So it's in a good location, and I think there could be some good opportunities down the road. Last thing I will mention to you about this, it's going to take a lot of work and some investment to get it from what it is now to, one of these concepts that we can work with. And that's going to take some demolition, obviously, of the former buildings, and that will take some investment to help get that done. We've offered to help, try to secure some potential state grants to help do that, and but that'll kind of be the next step. And we have had one meeting to talk about potential marketing. But that'll come a little bit later down the road once you start the conversion process. But we're excited to be involved, and we commend the leadership here for the decision to turn this location into an industrial park. A lot of vision, a lot of good stuff going on in this county right now. We're very proud that Montgomery is a part of the Southeast region. That's all I've got, Madam Chair, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners have any questions?
I'll just make a comment that, Steve, we appreciate you and the Southeast Partnership and being part of it. We struggled to attract industry here because of lack of natural gas, lack of sites, et cetera. So hopefully this will provide opportunity for more growth in the future.
Well, we'll keep working on the natural gas part of it, and maybe one day there'll be a big infrastructure project in the state that we could draw some funding for to get natural gas to the level of capacity that it needs to be in this area of the state. That's not going to withhold us, I think, in being able to attract some industry, particularly if it's related to distribution and logistics to a site like this, utilizing the railroad. And it will hold us back on some types of manufacturing, not having natural gas, but it won't hold us back on some other sectors. So look forward to working further on it as you take the next steps.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you.
Got a lot of exciting things happening in Montgomery County. Our next item is our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Matheny, second by Commissioner Mack. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that has signed up or wants to speak during the public forum? Okay, if not, then we'll forego the instructions on that, and we'll have the county manager's report now.
Commissioners, thank you, and Commissioner Matheny, congratulations. Steve, thank you. Dr. Ellis, thank you for having me. We have 4 items of business tonight that need action by the board. They're all familiar projects, but the finance director has put them into the formalized budget project format. And so we'll have to take these one at a time. And so they're included in your agenda packet. The first one is the previously approved 1NC grant for AmeriQual Acceptia. And that is the partnership that we have formed with the state and with the county for job growth at Acceptia. And so again, the finance director has just put that into a formal budget process, which is required by the LGC and the auditors. And so if there's any questions about the grant, I'll be glad to answer those. But if not, we need a motion to accept the project budget for the 1NC.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to accept that?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept project budget.
Motion by Commissioner Mack. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Matheny. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed.
The next 2 we can actually take into one motion. They're both related to the airport project. The airport and these projects, there's no expenditure of county money. All of these funds are coming from state and federal sources. The first one is the airport land acquisition. Over the last several years, the county has acquired private land along the airport. There's one hangar on top of the hill above the new fuel station that is still privately owned, and that owner approached the county about the county purchasing that. So we in turn contacted NCDOT Aviation and got a grant to move forward with the acquisition of that, so it will be county property. And the second one is the Airport Layout Plan, or the ALP. The ALP is really your master plan. Like Steve just showed the master plan for the East Montgomery site, the ALP shows what the future of the airport could be. This is what the federal government uses to determine what the priorities are and the growth that they want to see. And so that ALP plan has been progressing. So we can take those as one motion to accept the project budget ordinance for the airport land acquisition and the ALP.
Do I have a motion to accept that?
Move to accept the two items mentioned.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Matheny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mack on the airport land, and all in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
And the last action item is CARES Act funding. These projects have previously been approved by the Board of Commissioners, and this finalizes it into a project budget, and you have those itemized expenditure in your board packet, which I can address again. But if not, the motion will be to approve the CARES Act funding project budget.
Do I have a motion to approve the CARES Act funding ordinance?
Move to approve the CARES Act funding budget.
Motion by Commissioner Thaney. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mack. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The last item I have, as always, is the departmental reports, the staff reports. Most of the staff is in the audience with the department heads, and I know they'll be glad to come up and answer any questions, but they do a very fine job, and this county is very fortunate to have the department heads that it has, and it certainly has been my pleasure to work with them. I think the county is in very good hands, so thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. You might have any questions for the staff on the report? Okay, if not, the last item on the agenda is a closed session. And due to the resignation of the county manager, the board's going into session to discuss the interim position, which will be appointed until the new board can post an interview for the permanent position. So at this time, we'll be going into closed session.